Good. So before we start, let me give a small introduction for Maitra Marfatia. He is currently serving as a business head of Ducati Gujarat region. He has started his career in a bike industry as a sales executive from the KTM. Then he has joined to Triumph. Now, since I think 3 to 4 years, he has been working with the Ducati. He is a passionate and avid bike rider. I think there is none of the place that he has not gone with a bike in a Gujarat and many terrain in the region. He has traveled with bike with his group. So, Maitre, let's start.
Yep.
So, please let me know how your passion about the bike started. What was that age?
So motorcycles for me started slightly late. So I cannot say that I'm a born biker like some of the people do. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
the reference for motorcycles started off in the after 2000, after the year 2000, where
Okay.
we could access more channels on TV. We could see different kinds of magazines. So we had more reference point. Before
Okay.
that, we had no other things, and we were like really small and in primary school and all that. But after 2002-3, when
Mm-hmm.
channels like Discovery, National Geographic, History, some
Yeah.
magazines started off, automobile magazines.
Mm-hmm.
Then I still remember there's a book called so it's a pad Navneet. They started printing motorcycles and cars photographs with the specification behind
Mm-hmm.
the cover of their books and everything. So I used to cut that everything. So the seed was planted at that particular
At
point
that.
where everything started emerging after the year 2000. I still remember. So if I talk about my interest, where I started off
Okay.
was with a documentary called
Mm-hmm.
World. It was from BBC World. BBC
Okay.
World started a documentary called Long Way Round. So in
Mm-hmm.
this series, there were two guys named Ewan McGregor and Charlie Boorman. Ewan McGregor is known, a very well-known Hollywood celebrity, and he collaborated with a biker called Charlie Boorman, and they approached BBC and
Okay.
BMW brand and other brands to sponsor their rides. And in
Right.
2004, it was covered by BBC World, and they showed the whole documentary, how they travel around the world and everything. And it was, I think, telecasted in India in 2005 or 6, later part. So
Okay.
slowly, so I started off seeing all that, and I was amazed that you can travel the world on motorcycle with all the luggage,
Yeah.
and there are motorcycles which are capable of doing it.
Mm-hmm.
What we see right now in India. So that was the starting phase. I think slowly then, and in 2005-6, we received a huge amount of broadband connections in India.
Yes.
So everyone was equipped with their weapons, and they had access to all the
The
information
blessing.
and
The
freedom of
blessings to.
accessing the information. So yeah, it
Yeah.
started off slowly like that, and yeah, then slowly it got. I got more interested in it. So then I started searching for it, and I
Mm-hmm.
used to see contents all around the world. There are so many riders, and there are so many online communities, forums where people just talk. At that point of time, there was no YouTube,
Yeah.
so the only community was in the form of forums. So people used
Mm-hmm.
to be part of those forums and so talk about motorcycles and uh, you know uh, discussed about the rides and technical things and other
Right.
stuff, riding gears, how to
Yeah.
pack, and all those things. So yeah, it kicked off initially like that.
Right. Right. So you come from the a Patan, the compared
Yeah.
to small city to Ahmedabad,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So how was your experience at that time from Patan to Ahmedabad? So let me ask you first, which was your first bike? And how was the experience connecting Ahmedabad with the bike and with the other biker groups? How was the experience?
So when I was in high school, I was
Mm-hmm.
given a scooter to commute in the city, And
Right.
during that time, I already had, I was watching I was really interested in freestyle stunt riding of motorcycles.
Okay.
It is a known sport across the world.
Okay.
So I was in my teenage, so these kind of things, attracts you, something
Yeah.
which is very exciting and which is enthralling. So I started off watching videos of Mr. Chris Pfeiffer. He's a world champion freestyle stunt rider. There's a guy called AC Farias. He's a Spanish
Okay.
rider. But then, because we had access to YouTube and all those things, so during that time I used to ride a scooter. But I used to pretend that if
Yeah,
I
right.
can perform similar stunts on my
Right.
small scooter. But yeah, so I started off riding that scooter, and slowly that feeling of freedom when you ride a two-wheeler. You feel the wind on your
Absolutely.
face, and yeah, if you have that in you, then you enjoy it. So it started off like that. So it was a scooter first. After 3 years, in
Mm-hmm.
2009, my dad gifted me a Pulsar 220. So that
Okay.
was a major turning point for me, because a motorcycle is a motorcycle. You cannot compare it with a scooter. So motorcycle was more accessible for me to go on longer trips, because
And it was
scooter
a
had
new thing
its
at
own limitations. Yeah. So I still remember I knew how to ride a motorcycle, but I was still not very comfortable with shifting the gears, and it was not that easy for me initially.
right.
So
Right.
I took a delivery from Mehsana because the bike I wanted was not available in Patan. So I rode back from Mehsana to Patan that day, and started off doing some weird stunts on the bike. I fallen off the bike. I burned my clutch plates in the first month of purchasing the bike, which was a big thing, for my
Learning.
parents. That અત્યારે હમણાં નવ bike લેવડાવ્યો છે તને, and you burned off the clutch plates. So
Right.
and then slowly, I think I started doing all those stunts in a very closed area. Patan
Mm-hmm.
being a very a less populated place, we had many roads in and around Patan where you can we are no not much traffic, so you can go there and you can do some weird
Okay.
things. So I started off doing that, and in that I started performing some basic stunts like basic wheelies, stoppie, burnouts, all that. It gained me a lot of confidence. So I was,
Okay.
I thought that I can do more, because
Right.
I only learned it from watching those videos online, performing those stunts by those legends, Chris Pfeiffer and AC Farias, and then I slowly, yeah,
Just a hold on. So I think you should give a disclaimer to the viewers that based on your experience, you should not do it your own, because kind of
absolutely.
experience that you have.
Absolutely. So for whoever is into freestyle stunt riding, the basics. So for me, the day I bought my motorcycle, I had a good helmet and gloves with me. So I never started riding without my basic riding gears. In that, I would say, to people who want to perform such things, they should find a closed area where which is a private land, or some road which is not used much. It's not easy to find this kind of roads in Ahmedabad though, but yeah, you can certainly find those roads. And yeah, slowly, I would not say that you should perform it, but it's up to you. If you like to learn new things, and then you can definitely start off slowly and very gradually. And yeah,
Right. Right.
so riding gears is
So
the first thing
now
you
tell
should.
me something
Yeah,
about your first job. I think there is some internet connection issue. Maybe your side, my side.
from my end.
I don't know. I face some issue. So just hold on, viewers, just for those few seconds. If I can solve it somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fine
let's
now.
see. So I was talking about your first job. So
Yeah.
how you started as a job after some good experience with the biking and the big ride with the groups, you started your first job. So how it happened?
So
at KTM?
after, as I said, I purchased my bike in 2009. So after
Mm-hmm.
that, I started off doing my own stuff in Patan because I was not connected with other people. But at that time also, there were not much groups or riders, so-called riders, where you can connect with them and experience and share the same passion you have. So I still
Mm-hmm.
remember there was a group called, this is an online forum called XBHP,
Okay.
which is a global forum that was very much active. It is still active this in the current time also. But at that time, I think there were two or three platforms in India where you can
Mm-hmm.
connect with like-minded people. So
Right.
XBHP was one of the platform on which I connected with many of the riders of Gujarat, and then we formed our small group. This was post 2009 when I purchased the bike. So I didn't met any of them, but we had a small group on Facebook. Facebook was really new at that point of time. So we had a Facebook group and, XBHP Gujarat, and where we used
Right.
to discuss about rides and all. In
Right.
2010, we thought of, organizing a get together, a meetup, small meetup, where we would ride for we would ride somewhere and we will, just connect, and then we
Yeah.
will plan future things. So this was in 2010, where me and a few of the riders from Ahmedabad,
Mm-hmm.
we organized a ride to Gopnath and Bhavnagar, which is almost 250, 300 kilometers from Ahmedabad.
Okay. Okay.
So that was the first kickstart, I would say, for a group ride. I
Okay.
was doing my own rides before that. I went to Udaipur, I went to Baroda and Ahmedabad and some other places. But those were the solo rides. This was the first group ride in which
Mm-hmm.
I participated, and that was in Gopnath, as I said. So
Oh,
I met a lot of people in that. I think one of them was live in that. Mr. Amit Panchal is still live. So some of the people were really interested just for the sake of it's a biker group, right? So they all wanted to come, and it was a 3-day trip, 2-day trip maybe.
right.
And we went there. We had a blast time. We had good food and all those things. So that was the first group ride. After that ride,
Okay.
I connected with some of them really well. Like there were 4 or 5 people who are still one of the closest riding partners I have right now. So I met them in during that ride. So that was the first big group ride, which was
Mm-hmm.
2010. And slowly after that, we started doing other rides with the same group. We went to Udaipur, we went to Ranakpur, we went to Run of Kutch, we went to near Baroda. There's a place called I still don't remember the place, but we explored Gujarat and Rajasthan, and the surrounded place. So yeah,
Yeah. So then 2012 came and a big turn in your
the
biking
big
career, I would
360
say.
degree turn.
Degree turn.
Yeah.
So tell us something about that. So viewers, at the age of 21, Maitre took a first ride to Ladakh from Patan to Ladakh to Patan. Right? It took almost 1.5 months, and she
49 days.
yeah, 49 days. So he has done almost two bike ride to Ladakh. So Maitre, tell us something about that. The first ride, what was that journey about, and what are the challenges that you have faced that our viewers
Yeah.
can learn from that?
So, as I said, we were part of that group in which we used to, go on rides in Gujarat and Rajasthan, all these places. I really connected well with two people. There's a guy, he's a very avid biker, and
Mm-hmm.
he is someone who is into, he has, deep knowledge about the technicalities of the bike and trips.
Right.
His name is Sudeep Chakrabarti.
Mm.
And the other guy is Sunny Panchal. So we connected really well. And for us, we were really exploring these places in Gujarat and Rajasthan for making ourselves ready for the big ride.
Okay.
So we wanted to experience all the terrains before we hit Ladakh. We
Okay.
wanted to ride in slush, mud, gravel roads, sand, all those different terrains which are available here, and so that we are mentally prepared to one day make our dream come true, and all that. So I think in 2011 we started planning for the trip almost a year ago. So I was I think I gained a lot of weight at that point of time, and we hear this thing called AMS, altitude motion sickness, which happens at high altitude. And I was not well informed, so someone told me that you really need to lose the weight so that you become
Physically
fit.
prepared.
Yes, absolutely. So I lost almost 15 kgs of weight during that time. Though AMS has nothing to do with your weight, it can happen to anyone. It can happen to the most fittest person, and it cannot happen to you. It all depends. So during that preparation time, we started preparing our motorcycles first. So because it was initial plan was all the 6 states of North India and Nepal. So Nepal was also part of that plan. Later on, it couldn't happen due to some reasons. So we had to really carry, it was a 2-month plan, 65 days plan, where we had to carry almost everything. There are certain places, some remote places in Himachal or in Ladakh or near Spiti, and in Nepal somewhat, where you don't find even water, right? Drinking water. So we started off listing down all the things, and slowly we made a list of the things we wanted. But the luggage was so much that we had to make a customized luggage carrier on the bike so that it can accommodate all those luggage. And we had to also carry extra fuel along with the bike, because certain areas certain areas so remote that the distance of you don't find fuel for like 300-350 kilometers. And they are at 15,000 feet. So if you don't get fuel and no food, then your ride is over. So we had to plan it in that way, and we did that. But the one thing was not sure was my participation in the ride. I was planning for the ride, but I had got no green signal from my family. Our plan in detail as a so Sudeep took a step ahead, and he explained everything to my dad. It was literally a PowerPoint presentation to my dad, like we do in corporate. That on this day we are keeping a buffer day, and this is our plan, and this is a map, and here this is the army, this is the place where we are living, and all that. So after that presentation, my dad, because for them they were like कि इन्होंने कहीं पे online कुछ video देख लिया, and they are just thinking कि चलो लद्दाख जाना, For them it was like that, but they didn't knew that these guys were planning from past 1 year, and they had so much to prepare and in detail. So they were blown, and I think that impressed my dad, and he was like, okay, it's all yours.
Right.
So that's how it kick-started, and they agreed, and on 3rd July we departed from Ahmedabad. But the major turn-off was on the very second day of the ride. So it was almost, I had to cancel my ride. So I want to include that incident as well, so that, I was all excited, for going on my 50 days adventure. And I just got the approval from my family. And on the very second day, that dream almost shattered. So we started off, as I said, we had to cover almost all 6 states of North India. So we had to start it off from Rajasthan. So while we were on our way to Rajasthan, we went to Bikaner, and Bikaner we stayed overnight for the first day. So we covered Ahmedabad, Bikaner in 1 day, and we stayed in Bikaner. From Bikaner, we were going towards, so our next plan was to go to Dalhousie. And in the middle, there's a place called Sri Ganganagar, as you have heard. So Sri Ganganagar se just 50 kilometers pehle, there's a place called Suratgarh. It's a known place for army base and everything. So near Suratgarh on National Highway, it was a small accident where, Sudeep was leading the ride ahead. And suddenly he found a big pothole on the road. And he had good distance to, just dodge the pothole. And he dodged it, and he went ahead. but till the time I saw it, I couldn't know what to do. And because this was the first time we were riding a motorcycle which was fully loaded, almost with 50 kgs of luggage at the back, and it was really weird how the bike behaved. So I couldn't get the enough confidence, and I just went into that porthole and bent my rim. And due to that big, this thing, the fuel tank somehow got a puncture, the fuel tank, and the fuel started leaking. Yeah, maybe it hit with the chassis or something, and the fuel started leaking. And for me, for a motorcycle which is with a bent rim and punctured tank, and at a place like Suratgarh where you don't find any stores, there were no shops at that point of time. So so Sudeep, me and Sunny, we were discussing, and I was almost heartbroken that now what. So
next?
Sudeep spoke with my dad. He clearly shared that this is a very serious condition and we had to repair the bike, otherwise we cannot do some jugaad and continue with it. So during that he mentioned, we all decided, I decided that I should not continue with the ride. We will lower the bike in the truck and I will go back to Patan, and maybe next year I will plan again. So we had to inform my dad, right, that this incident happened. So he called my dad and he was like, this kind of incident has happened, and we cannot continue further. So at that moment, my dad asked him that, if it is repairable, then try. So there's a place called Amritsar, which was 350 kilometers from Suratgarh. In Amritsar, there was a workshop, and we communicated with them. They had the parts and everything, but it was 350 kilometers and the bike was stranded. So my dad told him, after Sudeep spoke with my dad, I took a phone and I was like, I'm coming back and all that. So my dad told me that, this was the ride you were, planning from past 1 year.
Since 1 year.
And you had to struggle to get our, approval and all that. Now you will not come back, if you don't finish it. So just go further, find some solution, but you will only come after 50 days. So that was a big, motivation or pump at that point of time, that, dad ko 2 din pehle bol rahe the ki nahi jana ride pe, and suddenly he was,
pushing you ahead.
Pushing me ahead. So then we loaded the bike in a van, and we went to Amritsar, where we repaired the bike, and then we continued further. We explored Himachal, and then there were some places in Himachal where we faced troubles again, near Sach Pass, Kilad, Kishtwar. So these are some remote places which are used by army generals for their convoys and all that, not for tourists. So over there also we faced some troubles, but yeah, this is part of the journey. So we had to, if you are up to an adventure, then you need
to be prepared for that.
You have to be prepared.
So any other experience for your first journey to Ladakh, if you want to share? It can be a learning for other viewers who want to try. Because for any bike lovers or the motorcyclists, there is a one dream that they have to ride to Ladakh, and you have done it twice, right? So it will be kind of a guidelines for them for each experience.
Okay, so currently riding to Ladakh has become, I would say, more of a checklist, than the actual experience. So I'm not saying that you should not do it, but you should do it with a perspective that you want to explore the nature, right? It's not like, I get so many calls sometimes. This is a season, where it all starts, but due to this pandemic, it's all closed. So I get so many calls that, we have 10 days, we have got leave from our work, and in 10 days we'll go and we'll return. It is not like that. You are going at a place, you are going in a terrain where you'll see a good dry sunlight in the morning. After 2 hours, it'll start pouring rain heavily, and after maybe 3-4 hours it starts snowing also. So you are going at a place which is so different in nature, where you can expect anything and everything. So you have to keep buffer days. So first advice I would give to anyone who is planning to visit Ladakh or maybe Spiti, or there are so many parts, Northeast, Arunachal, Nepal,
Yeah.
Bhutan, Sikkim, so many places. If you are going into mountain pass, see, mountains are kind enough to let you pass. We say that, I want to conquer the mountain. No one can conquer the mountain. Mountains are just kind enough to let you pass. So you have
Right.
to be in that mindset, and prepare
Yeah.
well and keep for buffer days. So if something goes wrong, so 15, 16 days is enough if you want to do the whole circuit from Manali to Rohtang to, further Ladakh, then Pangong. These are the major, tourist
Route.
spots. In return, Kargil, Dras, and Srinagar and return. So 15 days are enough, but you need to be ready for any uncertain situation. So this is the first advice I will do, that it is not like your trip to Goa, where you plan 6 nights, 7 days trip. You go there, you enjoy, and you come back. No. In Ladakh, you might face something which is very uncertain. Sometimes, not all the times. So you need to keep those buffer days, 2-3 days extra. So if
Okay.
something goes wrong, yeah. So, and one more thing I would say is, so some of the parts in Ladakh, they are so beautiful that you just want to sit and look at them and just absorb the the magnetic waves or whatever you say of nature, and just absorb
Beauty.
that in you. I see people, they go, and sometimes even we used to do that when we went first time. So sometimes you see a new place and you got so all excited. First advice I would say is, don't litter around. I see people, they bring those food packets and water bottles and everything, because those places in high mountain passes, they are not easy to clean. We live in a city which is very organized. Subah, people from municipality will come and they'll, pick up all the kachra and everything. Sometimes we see a lot of garbage on road when we go on such rides, and it's not a good sight, because
Right.
it is not easy to clean those places.
Yeah.
So
We have
even
to respect
if
nature.
so even if you are carrying a pack of chips, if you are smoking a cigarette, if you are drinking a water bottle, make sure that all the garbage is kept by you. So when we went to Ladakh in 2012, we had this small garbage bag. So whatever chips khaya, to uska usme dal do packet, ye wo everything,
Right.
and don't just spread the garbage. So this is one advice I would give to any tourist who is going there. Another thing is, just be aware of the nature and atmosphere of Ladakh. So if you're going there, connect with some local people, or connect with your hotel guy, or just talk.
Right.
You might know some new things or something, and build those connections. So it is all about building connection when you travel. So yeah, these are some basic advice I would give to the
Yeah.
beginners. Yeah.
Right. Good. Good. So after that, you must have done other riding also. But now
Yeah.
let's come more about your professional career. So after joining the
Yeah.
KTM in 2012, you join Triumph and then Ducati, right?
Yeah.
Then you have become a business head of Gujarat Ducati. So how was that journey from sales executive business head? What was the market at that time before 10 years, and what is now? What is the difference?
So, as we know that the biggest two-wheelers manufacturer, I will when I talk about automobile, I will talk about motorcycles, because that is my
Yeah.
side. So, if I talk about two-wheeler brands, then India has the biggest manufacturers and exporters of two-wheelers in the world. So we have a lot of brands like Hero Motocorp, or let's say
Right.
TVS, all the Indian brands, Bajaj Auto. These are one of the biggest players when it comes to production and exporting of motorcycles.
Okay.
So all these brands, all these Indian brands, they export their products to almost all the places: Australia, Brazil, South Africa, some of the European countries, Gulf. So they also have a big network over there. Sometimes they
Mm-hmm.
partner with some of their local business hubs and everything. But yeah, there's a channel of sales, service, and parts.
Right.
So during after 2007-8, when motorcycles was not only commuter motorcycles, or as we say 100cc motorcycles, right?
Right.
All these brands started off making slightly more capacity motorcycles, like 150cc, 180cc, 200cc,
Right.
350cc. Like Royal Enfield, we have 500cc. So
Yes.
slowly, from commuting from a commuter motorcycle to a more powerful motorcycle, it became a point of interest for many
Right.
motorcyclists, especially people like us. That we
Yeah.
always wanted that extra horsepower in our motorcycle, and
Yes.
slowly this brand also captured those market because they knew that there's a huge demand for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say all these Indian brands, they are the biggest players in the world right now. They are
Mm-hmm.
collaborating with so many big brands. They are buying those brands. Recently, TVS bought Norton Motorcycle, which is one of the most renowned British brand. Norton, it's a British brand. They acquired that brand I think 1.5 months ago. It's a recent news.
Okay. Okay.
And Bajaj has collaborated with KTM for their production in India. So if you look at the business side, Southeast Asia, India and Thailand, these
Mm-hmm.
are the two major hub for big brands to make motorcycles of lower capacity, because they were never
Okay.
into lower capacity motorcycles, and they had expertise, but sometimes the business model is not viable for the numbers.
Right.
So they collaborate with the Indian brands where they use their facility and the certain thing, or maybe they have some terms and conditions maybe, and
Okay.
they make those motorcycles in India, and all these Indian brands manufactures those bikes and export to their respective countries. So
Okay.
in last 10 years, India has become a more interest for all these big brands. Even Thailand is. So
Okay.
if you talk about Ducati, we
Mm-hmm.
have our manufacturing plant in three places. We have our home plant, which is in Italy, Bologna city, Italy.
Okay.
That is so this brand is almost 94 years old brand, and that is our first plant. So that plant serves to all the European region and North America and Canada. The second plant is in Brazil, which
Mm-hmm.
manufactures motorcycles for some other regions, Africa and some other parts. And
Right.
Thailand is the recent one. It's one of the biggest plants compared to the rest of the two, and the production value is almost double than those plants. And Thailand plant is very well equipped, but at the same time, because Asia Pacific is such a wide region in terms of demand, that where there is China and India, then all the Southeast Asian countries, Malaysia and all those places, the demand is very high. So the production which happens here will get distributed in all those countries.
Right.
So so as I said, Southeast Asia has become more of the production hub for these big brands in past
Okay.
7-8 years. So
Okay.
this was the time when all these big brands entered India. So if I talk about premium brands, Harley Davidson entered India officially in 2010. So
Yeah.
that was so after Harley Davidson entered, then slowly all the brands started coming: KTM and Kawasaki, Ducati, and MV Agusta, and all these brands. BMW Motorrad recently, 2 years back, they came into India. So
Mm-hmm.
and in India, we already know how to ride a motorcycle, where this is not the case in other countries. People
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to ride a motorcycle, but in India, all this brand has this plus point that people in India already ride motorcycles.
Okay.
So if they get attracted to bigger motorcycles, they'll come and buy our product. So this was
Right.
the major shift in last 7-8 years, which happened in India for this
Okay.
brands.
Okay. So what are the career opportunity right now in motorcycle industry in India? Because many of my friends asking me after I posted about this Insta Live.
Yeah.
So tell me something about that. What are the opportunity in a perspective of job?
Yeah. So, see, in current times, Nisarg, as you also know, that job is not only a workplace where drive yourself and work, and at the end of the month you get your salary. Currently, there are so many jobs. If you think about, then these new digital platforms are creating. So if I talk about myself, if I would
Mm-hmm.
be I would be 20 right now, and I'm trying to choose my career path. I would rather do something of my own and create something of my own, because that is more,
Okay.
because you have your own you can control everything, and you have freedom to do everything.
Right. Right.
But at the same time, for the people uh, who want to be part of this industry professionally, I would say there is a huge there is a huge gap in our market. We don't have much people for motorcycles. I'm saying, not in cars,
Right.
because in
Right.
automobiles, in motorcycle sector, we don't have much of I would say professionals. Because see, in motorcycles, what is the biggest this thing is, you need to be a biker first. You need to know the dimensions of motorcycles, how the bike behaves. If so you need to experience all that. And if you are into sales or service, so if I talk about myself, I started off with sales. I had to know the pros and cons of my product versus the other product, right?
Right.
So if I
Right.
don't know myself that these brakes are good, or this handling is better, or these tires are good or
Mm.
not, or this technology of ABS or whatever, so you need to know all the technicalities first to be a salesperson. Sometimes what we hear is a salesperson is not someone who needs to be really technical, but in motorcycle industry, this is the first requirement. This is the first basic requirement. So if someone is planning to really take it professionally, then he has to either gain his experience of riding as well as technical things. Sometimes there is a difference of technology also. So
Mm-hmm.
if I talk about a basic technology called ABS, anti-lock braking system, right? So
Yeah.
if you apply too much pressure, your wheel will not lock. Your motorcycle will take care of it, and you will not slide the bike. So
Right.
if you talk about other brands, what their ABS technology is, which is totally different than what Ducati has to provide.
Right.
Ducati is the brand. Why I'm giving this example is because Ducati is a brand who born in the this brand was born on the racetrack. So
Right.
if you look at this logo on my T-shirt, this is
Right.
the heart. The shield is the heart, and this white strip is a track. So in our heart we have racing. So that is the story behind it. So for Ducati, we always develop technology which is safer for the rider, as well as it enables you to be more capable of riding. So sometimes the electronics in Ducati motorcycles, they are so advanced that while you ride the motorcycle on a very fast pace, you will not realize that this electronics are hindering. You will know that you'll feel like you have superpower. You are now controlling the
Right.
bike, but back end, you have no idea that in that microsecond that ABS is engaging, or that traction control is engaging. So Ducati has Evo electronics, which are developed on racetrack, on their race
Okay.
machines, and all those electronics are given in their production motorcycles. So
Right.
these are the, yeah.
Very good. So share your experience while visiting the manufacturing plant of Ducati in Italy, and then in Bangkok, or let's say
Yeah.
Thailand.
In Thailand, as I said, we have one of the biggest plant which
Mm.
serves to the whole Asia Pacific. I got this opportunity in 2018 for the first time. I went there twice.
Mm-hmm.
So annually in the month of March, what we have is sales training and service training. So generally, comparing with other brands, it happens in India. But when
Okay.
it comes to Ducati, Ducati wants to make sure that each and every employee, because see, we are the face of the brand. They believe in empowering the face of the brand. So they want us to connect with their topmost, technical heads or sales head or service head,
Right.
and they want to give us that environment where we see that what the actual brand is. So when I went to Thailand in 2018, before that we had I didn't have that perspective, but when I went there and I met all the people. See, Ducati is a one brand. I've worked with other brands as well. Ducati is one brand where you will meet professionals who are riders as well. This is very rare. So
Right.
if I go there and meet the sales head of Ducati Asia Pacific, he'll be very happy to share what bike he's riding, where he's riding, and he's very much an active
Right.
cyclist himself.
Motorcyclist. Yes.
So this empowers us, and this makes us more comfortable in that environment. And then they have their professionals who give us training either on
Right.
sales or technical or marketing or service or anything. So for those 4 or 5 days of environment, you learn a lot. So it's like I used to say this to my friends that this is the only school I'm enjoying right now. When we go to such trainings, it's almost
Right.
like a classroom, and you learn, and you don't want to come back. So
Right.
you just want to learn. So this is one thing I want to say as connecting with your previous question, that people who want to join this industry, you know, uh, uh, you cannot stop learning.
Yeah.
So and if it excites you, then bang on, come in. There
Right.
are
Yeah.
there are brands who can provide you a platform, and they can train you and give you that expertise, and you can perform. So
Yeah.
yes, there's a huge scope of people who wants to be part of this industry. So if someone is planning, then I would say from your platform, they can connect with me. If
Sure.
I'll be able to guide them properly, I would love to. And yeah, they can directly contact me through Instagram, or I'll share my number later on. Or
Sure.
if there is someone, if there's a young
They can.
chap who wants to, yeah,
Congrats.
they can
Yeah.
contact me. Yeah, definitely.
So we are coming to the end of this session. So any viewers, any question, then please share with us. We'll try to incorporate that in our this session. So Maitre, one question I have. So you have covered many terrains of the India, and you have also visited the Buddha Circuit of Delhi and this in Thailand also. So what is your next plan as a rider? Which new region or the terrain you want to visit with your bike?
Yeah. So in India, we still have so many places in India which are, less explored. So I
Yeah.
would still say that there are some places left. I've not traveled across the India. I have still left visiting some of the places. I want to visit the Northeast, the region Northeast, Seven Sisters, all the seven
Mm-hmm.
states, Arunachal, Manipur,
Right.
and Meghalaya, and I don't remember the other names, but yeah, I want to do Seven Sisters, and I want to do Sikkim,
Okay.
Bhutan. So this is on the next, this is my
Wish
next
list.
plan. I don't know this year. I don't think so. Tourism is not going to, it's all down. So maybe in future. But yeah, this is my plan for. So for me, so there are riders who like, coastal routes as well. But
Mm-hmm.
I myself, I love mountains. So if there is a place which I have not explored, I would still go to the mountains and then the other places. So I want to go to northeast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So anything like for our viewers and wannabe bike riders, do's and
Yeah.
don'ts for them, if you want to share
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. So whoever is so for all the basic advice I can give to beginner riders is that sometimes when you start riding, and if you're not getting that support from your family, you need to first show them that you are a responsible rider. So please wear a helmet, wear a riding gears, if possible, wear a jacket, gloves. So in riding gears, जितना पहनोगे उतना कम, So at least wear basic riding gears, gloves, or good boots or helmet. start learning about your motorcycles. Start learning how your motorcycle is behaving in certain situation, how
Mm-hmm.
the brakes are, and currently there are so many YouTube channels. I would say online. There are so many online trainers. If I can suggest few, there's a trainer called Brett Trax. He's from Germany. He teaches basic riding techniques of riding a big bike. So when you travel, if you've seen the travel motorcycle, they're very big and bulky, and there's a big luggage on it. So it's more
Right.
than 300 kgs. So he teaches how to control that heavy machine. So you can find similar, trainers online. And because we are in 2020, there are so many riding schools across India. I would say there's a school called Indy Motard in Bangalore. They
Right.
organizes racetrack schools. So a racetrack school is not only for people who want to race, but if you go there and do their level 1, level 2, or level 3 course, they will teach you basic posture and how to brake and how to approach the speed in the corner, and all those experience and techniques on the track will help you on the road. So there's a
Right.
track school called Apex Racing. Then there's Indy Motard, as I said. Ducati, I want to include this. Ducati is actively organizing events where they empower riders to boost their riding skills. We have a session called Ducati Riders Clinic, where
Okay.
any beginner who has bought a Ducati motorcycle, we will give them a good insight of how to ride that particular motorcycle. If he
Okay.
is into so we have different events for each kind of riding. So this is for basic training. This is Ducati Riders Clinic.
So
Then
if
we
you
have
can just
Ducati.
one thing. So if you can share the like social media pages or some pages that viewers can follow for such
Yeah, yeah,
information.
yeah. As I said, there are plenty of them on YouTube. So if you can just search, there are so many of them in India. There are so many riders. As I said, there's a page of Indy Motard already on that. They share some of the things. Then there are
Mhm.
individual riders who are social media influencers, who are really good riders. There's a rider called Bharat More. There's a rider
Okay.
called Sagar Sheldekar. There are so many of them. Then in Delhi, if you are into race, racing motorcycle, if you're into motorcycle racing, then you can connect with Anand Dharmaraj. All these people are actively doing such events, and they are into empowering other riders. And there is
Okay.
Shubhabrata Maramar. He's an auto media journalist, but he speaks. Uh, he has a vast knowledge of riding gears and riding techniques. Because see, sometimes what happens, you can be a good rider, but if you don't know how to explain it properly, then you cannot teach anyone, right?
Right.
So these are some of the people who can really uh, talk technical, and you'll understand really well. So Bharat More, Sagar Sheldekar, then as I said, Anand Dharmaraj, and all these people. Yeah, you can follow those people. You can follow me.
Yeah,
People
sure.
who want to, yeah, so they
Always.
can connect with me. Yeah, so yeah, this is.
So, do you kind of do meetups in Ahmedabad region or anywhere, or if you are planning?
Motorcycle get-togethers happens, but there are
Mhm.
so many groups these days. As I said, that motorcycle is emerging day by day. So there is no one big group. There are groups which are distributed in small quantities. So there are so
Right.
many groups. If you travel on Ahmedabad Baroda highway on Sunday in the morning, you'll see all of these maniacs on the road, twisting
Right.
their throttle up, and yeah. So big or small, there are all motorcyclists around on Sunday.
Mhm.
So you can connect with any of the group. There are so many groups on Facebook. There are some of the groups who are bike specific, like for Enfield and some of the brands. They have their own specific groups. But yeah,
Right.
there are some individual groups where you can connect, but there's a list is long. So if someone wants to be part of it, they can just connect with me. I can guide them, how to
Right.
start, where to start. Yeah.
So, the one last question that we also discussed few times. I hope like many of have the same question. With which bike we should start with riding?
Yeah, this
So,
is this
like
is
basic requirement of bike. So, which should any suggestion? Not any brand, but
yeah, yeah.
any basic thing that we should have in a bike, kind of thing.
So if you are someone who don't know anything about motorcycles and are planning to buy a motorcycle, you should first go and visit the showroom. What currently we do is we go online, we see the photos, we see the specs, we compare that, you know, this has more horsepower, this has bigger disc brake, this has wider tire, and you know, this is the online comparisons we do. But I would suggest you first go to each and every store. So first of all, you have to decide your budget. If your budget permits, you visit those brands in which falls in the same budget. You go there, you sit on the motorcycle. You sit on the motorcycle for some good amount, you know, where you can feel that how is the weight, how is the reach or to the handlebar. Because see, all the human body is not same. You know, some are long, some are short, some have short hands, some has heavy palms, and you know all that. So you have to be a motorcycle which is right for me. You know, may not be the right bike for you. So if I say that, you know, if you have this budget and you can choose from these three bikes, it will be wrong. So I would say you go to a store, you sit on the bike. Currently, all the motorcycle manufacturers, they have all the test ride fleet motorcycles. You can go there and test ride motorcycles for a, you know, good distance. So you go there, you see the bikes. First of all, you have to decide what is your purpose with the motorcycle. Are you someone who is just going to commute in the city? You will go from your home to your workplace, or you are someone who will, you know, commute for 6 days, and on Sunday you are trying to go on a longer ride. So you have to find a motorcycle which is more capable. In current times, we have Royal Enfield, we have Bajaj, we have, I'm talking about the smaller segments, Bajaj, then we have Suzuki. So whichever suits you, because some motorcycles are heavy, some are light, some has good brakes, some has really pathetic brakes. So that you will have to ride them to understand. And when it comes to bigger bikes, so if you have a slightly bigger budget, then you can fall into then the brand falls like Ducati. We have a motorcycle called Ducati Scrambler, which is I would say one of the most you know, versatile motorcycle. If you're someone who is, you know, just buying a motorcycle for commuting, it is a good commuter. If you want to go to Ladakh, it can go to Ladakh. If you want to travel for, you know, longer distance, you can keep a luggage on it. And it has dual purpose tires, more suspension travel. So you need to find a purpose first, that what is your purpose to buy the motorcycle. Then yes, then there are so many options these days. You know, I think when I bought a motorcycle, I think we only had 2-3 choices if we want to buy a big bike. Right. But currently there is, you know, there are so many options that this is a right time to be a motorcyclist. Right time to enter the sport. Yeah. So
right. So that's so thank you very much, Maitreyi. It was a nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you too. Thank you for providing me this platform so that I can connect it. I got connected with so many of the cultural talk followers, and I can share my knowledge.
Yes.
And
so it was a due from long time that
yeah,
now...
it was due from long time. Yeah, we should do it frequently from different topics.
Sure. Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining with us, and we'll let you know about our next live session. So thank you very much. Thank you, Maitreyi. Bye.
Thank you all. Yeah. Thank you, Nisarg. Bye.